talking today with Charles Boland, who's the owner and of Storybook Joinery, and he specializes in making period piece furniture, and he'll explain what he does and what his process is, and so we'll look forward to hearing from you, Charles.
I started woodworking over 30 years ago, and it was with modern tools, power tools and all that. And then in 2001, I decided to take a venture and learn to make Windsor chairs traditionally. I traveled up and spent a week in New Hampshire learning how to make a Windsor chair traditionally with hand tools. I fell in love with it. I started making them, and then I knew how to make furniture with power tools. So then how did they make the same furniture with the hand tools? And that led me to start learning exactly how it was made in the 18th century. My copies of my furniture are all, the casework furniture generally dates from about 1680, 1690 up until about 1735, 1745.
And when you say you went someplace to learn this, you learned it from some master craftsman there, or?
Yes, I learned it from a man named Michael Dunbar. He has been making Windsor chairs, and he is basically the one person that, if it wasn't for him, handcrafted Windsor chairs would not be in existence today. He actually took them apart, studied them, then found out how they were made with the tools they had. Now you have to understand that when tools were no longer used for what they were supposed to be, they were used for something else. So a lot of the tools had gotten lost in time and had changed their uses. So he started researching with old woodworkers and like that, and how did this do this and how did that do that. And then he then became a chair wright at Strawberry Bank up in New Hampshire, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And then he started going on the road teaching. He's a writer for popular woodwork. He's also taught and wrote articles on Windsor chair for early American life and fine woodworking.
And what is the significance of Windsor chairs in American history? Where do they, were they, maybe say something about that.
I would say that people often ask, what is American furniture? The one keynote American piece of furniture is a Windsor chair. Even though the Windsor chair was originated in the early 1700s in England, in the woodlands just outside of Windsor, England, where Windsor Castle is. It was a market town. The first chairs arrived here in about 1730, 1740. And they look nothing like what they look like today. Now notice I said the chair came, not the woodwrights that made them. You have to remember that we were a country that furnished the raw materials, shipped it to England, and then they shipped the finished product back. Even as early as 1730, 1740, we kind of didn't like that, and so American craftsmen looked at those chairs and said, we can make it better.
They reverse engineered them, basically.
They reverse engineered them, and they started to design them. Thomas Gilpin was one of the, and Francis Trumbull were a couple, and Henry Hensey were a couple of the early Windsor chair makers who are accredited with what we now know as the American Windsor chair. They started putting the real nice turnings on it, the rake and splays, and started designing them. By 1760, the American Windsor chair, as we know it today, was in existence from American craftsmen. When we talk about American furniture, the Declaration of Independence, the Founding Fathers sat in Windsor chairs when they argued and signed the Declaration of Independence. Windsor chairs was generally widespread found in courthouses and churches and people's homes. These were American furniture, and they have a vital issue. They even used the chairs when they sat in during the Constitution deal. So this is American furniture, and it is strongly related to our history.
Could you show us some of the chairs?
I'll start with this chair right here. It's considered a Philadelphia triple back. It dates at about 1760 to 1770. What makes it a triple back is 1, 2, and the crest makes a third back. This is a very nice, comfortable utilitarian chair. This chair is a copy of a chair made by Ebenezer Tracy out of Lisbon, Connecticut, about 1790. He was a colonel in the American Revolution. His legacy for Windsor chair makings go almost 50 years, because after he died, his son-in-law and nephew then took over the business and continued to make the chairs. And he is probably, there's more of his chairs than any chair maker around of his chairs that still survive today. I found the one and copied this one. It's a copy of one that dates about 1790 to 1800. It's called a continuous arm because this is one piece of wood that is double steam bent in one piece.
Steamed.
Yep.
To get that, yes.
Yep. You shape this and then put it into a live steam box for about 30-40 minutes.
Right.
And then it'll bend, the wood will actually bend like a piece of spaghetti.
And this what wood is this, Charles?
This is a little bit, the seat is popular, but the legs and all the turnings are maple, and everything else is white oak and red oak.
It's an incredible grain. It's just beautiful on the seat. It's just, I mean, the whole thing is beautiful, but that's quite a pattern.
And this is a children's sackback chair. The name
Sackback.
Sackback. The name came when, in the wintertime, you would sit in front of a fire and get roasted in the front, and the cold draft would be on your back.
Yes.
So to stop the draft, they'd hang a sack over the back of it. So the name was Sackback. This is what I call a ladies' fan back. It's a style after one made by Charles Chase out of Nantucket Island in 1780, 1790. It's a little bit smaller than the man's fan back. I did one thing different, is I used cherry arms on this. That was not common. This is just one of my little details that I like to add to it, is a little bit of increasing the look of the chair.
Yes.
The actual Nantucket fan back is the large yellow chair over here. Again, this is a Charles Chase chair out of Nantucket. This was generally found only in the eastern seaboard, generally in the eastern, say Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and it was generally found in ship captains' homes and the shipping magnates.
And what, could you tell me the name of this chair again?
This is called a fan back.
Fan back, okay.
But it's really known as a Nantucket fan back. Philadelphia was making fan backs at the same time, but they were much smaller. This was the largest of the fan backs that Chase was responsible for. And the fan back is, if you look at it, it looks like a lady's hand fan that when you open the spines of it.
Now, if somebody is looking at these chairs, taken as a group, how would somebody look at these chairs and know that these are, identify them as Windsor chairs? These are Windsor chairs.
Very good question. A Windsor chair, in a modern definition of it, is any chair that has a seat that is the central point of construction, that the legs are mortised into the bottom of the seat, and the upper carriage is mortised into the top of the seat. So in other words, you have the lower carriage, upper carriage, and the seat, and the seat combines everything together. That makes a Windsor chair.
That's a character. That's the defining characteristic of a Windsor chair.
It has to be that the seat is the central point of construction. Most modern chairs, if you think about it, you have the back, so this back right here, and it comes down along the back and then forms into the leg.
Yes.
That is not a Windsor. It has to be the four legs mortised into the bottom of the chair seat, and then the arms or the back, all that on the upper carriage is mortised into the top of the seat. And as I said, that makes the central point of construction the chair seat.
Now, from Windsor chairs, you've also branched out and you do some other furniture.
Yes. If you go back in the shop, I can show you some of that through what I've done. And one piece that will be going to its new home in Alexandria. The piece that I'm going to show you is dated, a copy of about 1720, 1715, 1720. It is of the William and Mary style of furniture from England. It is called a linen press. This would be a cupboard where they generally would keep their linens, like tablecloths, anything that did not need like wool that the moths would get to. It would be in a cedar chest. So this would be up here. When you open it up, it has all these shelves to do all the storage of your linens in various places to keep it. This would generally not be found in a lot of homes. This would be generally found in upper middle class homes into the wealthy gentry level. Now, its mate to this is what we call a highboy. And think of a giant chest of drawers. That's a highboy. It has all the drawers in it. That would have been found. But this would be an auxiliary because a lot of middlings did not have those tablecloths and linens like the uppers. So the uppers needed the place to store it. The construction in this right here is the lower case and the upper case is all held together with hand-cut dovetails. You lay them out and take a back saw and cut out the dovetails, which is a very strong joint. It's been around for years, and that's the marks of quality construction today. The wood is walnut, and that is a typical wood that was used in William and Mary furniture. William and Mary furniture could also be found, I've seen some original that was painted black lacquer with oriental gold leaf seams in it. So, and I've seen other pieces of walnut or William and Mary furniture that was veneered with more walnut with burl and crotch walnut to give it more lift and activity in it versus just this right here.
Now, William and Mary, what is the defining characteristic of, or characteristics of William and Mary furniture? How would somebody look at this and say, oh yeah, that's a William and Mary piece?
The first thing about a William and Mary piece of furniture is the legs. That is a traditional mark of the legs, those big trumpet style legs, and they are massive. They're 3.5 inches in the back. They're generally, another piece of William and Mary furniture, they generally have 6 legs underneath of it. You can also find William and Mary with barley twist legs, but this is classic William and Mary, late William and Mary. William and Mary, English furniture was denoted by who was reigning in England at the time. So you have William and Mary, who was at the 1680s up to 1698, 1700 was the King and Queen of England. And as William and Mary went out of power, here came Queen Mary. So now we have Queen Anne style furniture, or Queen Anne was ruling, so now we have Queen Anne furniture. And that ran for years, and then they got out of the ruling families into the cabinet makers like Chippendale, Hipplewhite, and Pembroke. So
Those were all cabinet maker names.
all cabinet maker names. Thomas Chippendale was a cabinet maker in England, and he was most noted for his style of furniture, which had a huge influence by Asian design. One of them was exactly the ball and claw foot on the bottom of a leg. This represented the dragon and the pearl. But we didn't look at it that way over here. That was an eagle claw. So, now when I say Queen Anne leg, this is a typical Queen Anne leg. It's a pad foot leg. This dates about 1735. Very common. Chippendale took the same leg, cut this off, and put the ball and claw on the end of it.
Oh, the ball and claw was then characteristic of Chippendale.
Yeah. And today, it's a mark of very nice high-end furniture. And they also had different style of foots that they put on it. They put a Spanish slipper foot on it, a trident foot. They started putting different feet on it, but it was the same leg. And this leg is carved out of a 3-inch stock of wood. So, and that's what I'm doing over here. This is what it looks like when I'm starting. And I don't know if you can see it, but here's the profile, and it's done on 2 sides. You chop the mortises in, then cut out the profile. And once the profile is cut out, you then
I see where you've.
Yep. Take that, cut that, and then what you do you'll cut up to here, then come down and cut to here, and then do this whole cut here, and then come back and just flip this and cut that out. Now you've got the rough shape, and then you put this in a vise and then start taking your spoke shave and start carving it out and shaping it to get it that nice round smooth knee down into a nice delicate ankle into a curl toe pad foot. This part is turned on the lathe so you can turn down the foot and raise the pad up.
Wow.
Uh,
So a huge piece like this linen press represents how many hours?
5.5 weeks, start to finish.
5.5 weeks.
When I say that is a good minimum of a 40-hour week in those that time frame. I'm out here doing.
Yeah.
I'm going from one step. I may be having pieces that are glued up for the lower half, but I've got wood that I have to get ready and start milling up to dimensionalize for the top piece. These moldings all have to be made by hand. These moldings here were made with these two sets of planes.
Mm-hmm.
This plane with that profile did the upper molding and the lower waist molding. The next molding plane on this profile did the molding here with the scotia and that one. They're all hand cut.
Beautiful.
And these planes I actually made myself. And they are not meant for this. They were actually meant to make rule joints for drop leaf tables. But I really liked the profile when you put the two of them together, which made a really nice crown and waist molding.
And how did you learn your craft, Charles? Did you apprentice with a cabinet maker or with a
Self-taught.
Self-taught.
Self-taught. I sat here and started studying. I watched Roy Underhill on PBS for years, and he does hand tools, and I started doing that. Now, recently, I actually went to Roy Underhill's to actually learn certain things. I went down to one of Roy's schools and studied with Mary May to learn how to carve a ball and claw foot. Very specialized. But the furniture, I sat here and I read books. I went and looked at antique furniture. I talked to other craftsmen. How do you do this? And some of them were nice enough to let me sit down and watch them. But actually apprenticing in their shop, no.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of it is trial and error. A really good friend of mine sat down with me and showed me how to hand cut dovetails. And then after it was over with, he said, now you go to your shop, get some wasted wood, and sit down and just start practicing, and practice, and practice. And so I practiced, and then I got an order for a highboy. I got a lot of practice. There was 148 hand-cut dovetails in that piece. So I got a lot of practice.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for your storybook joinery, you have a website?
Yes, it's www.storybookjoinery.com.
Excellent.
I'm here located in Springfield. I do give classes in traditional woodworking, so people that can come in can learn traditional. Start out with something, a weekend little class to learn mortise and tenon joints and make a little table, all the way up to a week-long class of making a handmade Windsor chair.
Beautiful. Thanks very much to Charles Boland, Storybook Joinery, for explaining to us his craft and his creations, and we'll look forward to taking a look at his website and seeing more of the work that he's created, the pieces that he's created. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.